Hello and welcome back to the Sekimeiya Spun Glass. We're in the progress. Well, we were in the process of checking something inside Isla's purse that felt slightly out of place. What's that for? That's my purse. I don't use it every day, but I took it today. I mean, that device. Device? What are you talking about? Erin and Isla got up and frowned when they saw what had intrigued me. Oh, is that a recorder? It has a plain record button. What? I don't know. I've never seen it. It was inside your purse. Where did you get it? I just said I've never seen it before. I don't know what it's doing here. Are you just lying again? What's it doing in your purse if you've never seen it before? I'm telling you that I don't know. It wasn't very big, but it occupied most of the space in the purse. It was hard to believe anyone could have dropped it inside while Isla had been wearing it, and I hadn't seen her leaving it behind anywhere, and giving someone an opportunity to plant an object in it. Shiroya grabbed the device and began to fiddle with it. There's a record button and the recording saved. I think we can listen to it. This seems to be a speaker. On one side of the recorder, a symbol indicated that audio could come out of it. On the back was a slot for an SD card, but there wasn't one inserted. When Shiroya pressed the record button, a message appeared. It said, delete previous recording before starting a new one. Instead of doing that, Shiroya selected the single audio track with the circle pad and pressed the play button. You should have done that to begin with. What would you have done if it had just recorded over the one track that was on there? A time bar appeared on the screen. Static started playing immediately, and we frowned, waiting for something else to happen. On the screen, the seconds ticked up for a while as the static went on. Were we hearing footsteps? Eventually, that noise was interrupted by a very loud one. It sounded as if someone had sat right next to us. Then that person heaved a sigh, and as soon as they started speaking, we recognized who they were. Well, what do we do now? We immediately recognized it was Akaro's voice. Why did I have this? Does it show the date anywhere? No, there's nothing like that. Okay, that's Psi. I mean, it's a symbol Psi. Alright. What do you want to do? We might have been here for more than a month and the exit's not open. Unless you want to take down the shutter by hand, we can only keep waiting. Shira's eyes met mine in disbelief. More than a month? Our fear was amplified by the next sentence we heard. I don't get it. What the hell happened? Did Asha just abandon their own building with us inside? We thought we'd be free after 12 hours. What? This can't mean... And once again the recording hammered us with the sharpest hit yet. Atsuki, what are you thinking about? Do you have any more ideas? And hey, Erina, what's with that face? It almost seemed as if Sai had been talking to us directly. We were speechless, wondering if we were there too. What, not going to answer? Then we heard the recorder play the sound of a door being pushed, and following it, gasps. Expressions of pure shock filled our ears, which perfectly conveyed the bewilderment shared by everyone who'd been recorded. Isla? What the hell? What? Isla, when did this happen? She indicated that she had no idea with a gesture, so we kept waiting while the device let out nothing but silence. Hey, answer us. What are you looking at? Where am I? What do you mean? We're still in Ashia Tower. Do you not remember? No, I know. What I mean is, what happened to me? Where am I? What? Akaro's confusion must have been shared by the rest of us. What kind of question was that, regardless of the context? No, I should be... Following that, there were a couple of unsteady, heavy footfalls, most likely someone staggering. During the next few seconds, Isla cried and nobody spoke, inside or outside the recording. Huh? I've never done this. Isla, what's gotten into you? What are you holding? And Erina, why aren't you doing anything? With a final sob, the recording ended. The screen left us with a button to rewind the audio, and we remained motionless, with expressions we'd never worn before. I'd fallen unconscious from a smoke attack, probably traveled to the past and found two dead bodies that belonged to the same person. However, The sensation left by that bizarre recording surpassed all of those. It said that we'd be here for over a month. It's not possible, right? Even if the exit doesn't open, the people outside would find a way to rescue us. Yes, this must be a trap created by Sai and Akaro. Usually I would have also jumped to that possibility, but Isla was in that recording too. Could she have been in on it? I remembered Isla's friend. Were Sai and Akaro somehow involved in everything? You and Atsuki were mentioned as if you were there, but at no point did you actually speak. And Kata and I weren't mentioned at all, but with how short it was, that doesn't mean anything. It didn't mean anything, but it was still unsettling. According to Sai's words, I'd been quiet for a while and Erina's behavior had also been strange. If we were to believe the contents of the recording, it meant that somehow it had traveled to the past from 1 month into the future. I couldn't even imagine why and how that would have happened. Isla, sorry to ask again, but be as honest as you can. Have you really never seen this device? Have you really never spoken the words we just heard? And do you really not know anything about it? I promise, I have no idea where this came from, and I never said any of that. You believe me, Tanya, right? Yes, but this is really strange. Isla had begun to sound like she had in the recording, trying not to break down. The 4 of us had just been handed a month-long sentence with no bail, and it had sounded as if it could be extended indefinitely. Don't worry, this recording must have been manipulated. There are many things in it that don't make sense. Of course, as Shiria said, we'll be rescued if things go wrong when the exit has to open. There's no food here, so it's impossible. We'll be able to stay alive for an entire month without starving. Akaro and Sai sounded perfectly healthy, didn't they? That's right. I bet they didn't think this through. There's still 9 hours until we can leave, but no more than that. Don't believe any of this, Isla. We're fine. We'll all be fine. Like Isla, I was looking forward to making it out a lot more than I appeared. I wanted my life to get back on track and go to the mountains with Shiria as we'd agreed. The thought of remaining imprisoned crushed down on my shoulders. We had come to the tower for the purpose of getting a fresh start, and the recording threatened to turn all of that on its head. I believe we heard something else that was very strange. Apart from what Isla said, the way Sai phrased it, we might have been here for more than a month. This might have is very odd. Oh, that's right. Why would he not be sure? It's true that we could easily lose track of time after spending a month locked in here, but we could know how long it's been just by looking at the dates. And how would you do that exactly? And on the crystal floor we have a computer that displays it. Even Sai himself has a watch in case the computer stopped working. Okay. It has to be a trick, and one that's easy to see through. Someone must have put this recorder in your purse. Do you know when that could have happened? No, I kept it on myself the whole time since I grabbed it at home. When you entered the tower, a guard looked at your purse, right? Do you remember if it was there? I don't know. I didn't look, I just gave it to him. Isla, mind telling us the identity of your friend now? She could have had access to it, and somehow she knew the incident would happen. Not only that, but she lied to you, right? About the number of people, and when she said that nothing bad would happen. No, she has nothing to do with this, I promise. She was wrong, but she didn't lie. She's waiting for me outside, and I don't want to leave her alone for long. Christmas is in 10 days, and we promised we'd spend it together. Before I could press her further, the door opened and Sai appeared with Katai behind him. They forcibly stepped in and closed the door again. Hey guys, I found a little thing. Can you just say what it is already? Yes, that's why we came here. It wouldn't have been the same without them. I thought about it. Was Sai hiding something from us? If he was, it must have been something really big. Instead of asking questions, we waited for what he had to say. While he wasn't paying attention, Erina put the recorder back inside Isla's purse to avoid being questioned. It was undeniable that Isla and Erina could be seen as suspicious with such a thing having been found on them. Not really. I mean, you just play it and... well, whatever. Who wants to read this? Sai was holding a folded piece of paper. Since there were no volunteers, he handed it to me. You've been chosen. I found this in a drawer in the kitchen. I sighed faintly and began to read. Sir, I have done as you instructed, and I didn't spot any difference in the attic since Sin's last attack. I believe it wasn't targeted. I finished this month's preservations, but some paint has begun to wear off, so next month I'll attempt to fix that on my own. Until then, thank you for your trust and let me know if you have any new requests. Naomi. It's a letter from Naomi? Precisely, your ears do work. It sounds as if Naomi was tasked with keeping this attic tidy. It's addressed to the head of the Ashia family, who must have lived here back in the day. I see. Understand? It means that Kate has lied yet again. It's great, he never stops. We're going to set a world record at this rate. I suppose you're right. He must have known this, so having found the attic key in Naomi's pocket shouldn't have been a big surprise. I didn't know. I don't look through these cameras very often, and according to this letter, she worked here once a month. It makes sense that I never saw her. Shit, Kate. You know that you're fucked once we get out, right? You said that you work here with Naomi, and that earlier she tried to personally convince you of her innocence because of that. But you didn't know what her job entailed. I didn't. It's not my business to know what everyone does. I certainly didn't see her often, so I never knew exactly what her work was. Yeah, of course. She's probably been handling this floor by herself for years, and you, who takes care of the security of the entire building, never knew that. This letter mentions Sin, so it must be recent enough, most likely from last month. It must have happened when I wasn't present in the tower, since I only have the night shift every 2 weeks. If, for example, she came the first day of every month, I would never have seen her. You just earlier said you didn't see her often, so that clearly implies you saw her sometimes. Was it not? Okay, yeah, good job, Sai. Was it not a second ago when you said you've seen her a few times? Katai never answered, but he looked enraged during the moments of silence that followed. Well, it seems Naomi had direct communication with Ashia, and that she was a trusted individual tasked with maintaining this special floor. I bet that's why she was chosen for her new job and told the secret of the Sekimeiya's true purpose. None of us appeared to care much about the letter, given what we'd just heard. Sai had looked excited to have found something that strengthened his suspicions about Kate, but we'd all accepted at some point that he'd spat out plenty of lies. It was routine. We heard the sound of a zipper being unfastened coming from the bed. Hey, Shiria, what's that? We all turned to her and saw a key in her hand. Did she get it from your purse? Isn't that... Yes, it's the cabinet key, the Sekimeiya cabinets. Yes, I think so. It was inside. What were you looking for? Oh, nothing. I don't know how this got here, though. She wouldn't admit it, but after Isla had found something so bizarre inside her own purse, Shiria must have felt the need to check hers too, and apparently it had granted a result. I see, so you had the key. Very interesting. Someone must have put it in and I didn't notice. Is that so? Then I get to suspect you. I mean, it wasn't inside, but in the side pocket that should have been empty and where anyone could have easily dropped it. I suppose you would have left it in the main section where the zipper would hide it. I'm fine believing that. Before we realized that this key was missing from Naomi's first corpse, only the real culprit or the group that inspected Hallway B could have picked it up, so Shira, Sai, and Akaro. Sai, who searched the room with Naomi? Akaro. So he could have picked it up. Oh, that was a question. Sai, who searched the room with Naomi? Akaro, okay. So he could have picked it up and later dropped it inside Shiria's purse. However, he couldn't have unlocked the Sekimeiya cabinet, right? Yes. Nobody entered the event room. So the only suspects are Sai, Akaro, and whoever the killer was. Shiria didn't enter Naomi's room, so she couldn't even have picked the key up. Surely she could have if she killed Naomi, right? I know she's supposed to have an alibi, but remember that you traveled to the past and that anyone might have been able to appear on the crystal floor. The real suspect here is obviously Sai. Akaro couldn't have done anything with the key, but Sai could have been the one to unlock the cabinet since he remained outside the hallway B rooms during the search. But I didn't do it, and I definitely couldn't have hidden the Sekimeiya in the storeroom, so... Ultimately, the only suspect here is Kate, who killed Naomi. Shira has been wearing her purse by her side, so it would have been easy to leave a small key in it without letting her notice. God, I didn't kill Naomi, and if I had to hide a key, I'd hide it in a room. At least if I put it in someone's purse, I'd make sure they could then be suspected. Shira couldn't have picked it up, so it's pointless and risky. Can you think of who could have had the best chance to do it? No, I'm sure anyone could have done it at some point. We'll have to call Akro out when he comes. You still haven't searched around here? We haven't. What's there to find? We searched precisely to figure that out. This letter was pretty well hidden, and there are a few drawers and hiding spots I can see around here. Fine, let me look around. I stood up from the bed and casually crouched to open some drawers. I could see some worn out papers, expired promotions, and some more ancient stuff that wouldn't be of any help. While everyone looked at me, I moved up the drawers until something notable caught my attention. It was, again, a key. Do you recognize this, Kate?
Oh, yes, it's the key to this bedroom, the only one that remains. The other bedroom also has one, but the keys shouldn't be interchangeable.
I see. Still won't help us much then. I finished looking through the drawers without finding anything else. There was a wardrobe upstairs, but I didn't bother going. Instead, I looked at the door and found the keyhole I'd ignored. There was also a chain that would lock the door from the inside without the need of a key. Wait, was there a chain in the other room as well?
Not anymore. It broke years ago, so only this bedroom has one.
Oh. I'm not sure what Akro is doing down there, but I'll look around a bit more until he comes, since it's clear you're all slacking off. I wasn't sure what exactly he expected to find, but he went up the ladder hoping that something important could be above. It wasn't so much that we were slacking off, but that the recording had sapped every ounce of initiative we still had. I sat down again and mindlessly stared at my lap. I can't get to a likely conclusion. How could the recording be fake? If Isla isn't hiding anything important from us, it's clear that we have to basically consider it as truthful after everything that's already happened. However, if this recording is going to occur in the future, why did we find it now? And most importantly, why did we find it inside Isla's purse when she doesn't think anyone had the chance to put it there? It can still be some sort of bizarre trap, one that involves Isla as a participant with the intention of making us believe we won't be free in 9 hours. Moreover, we found this now, so within a month, if we're still here, why would anyone record anything? What would the point of recording a few minutes of a random conversation be? Why will the person behind it even have a voice recorder inside the tower, and how will it travel back to us? My previous travel implied that causal loops are the way traveling works, so if we let Sai and Akro listen to the recording, the chances that it'll happen in the future will vanish. There'd be no way they would repeat everything exactly as they heard it. If the 12th hour comes and we're still trapped though, we'll have to let them know what our future looks like. My initial reaction was that not letting anyone else listen to the recording was the smarter choice, as it would prevent fear, commotion, being suspected and potentially falling into a trap. That just so happened to go along nicely with the way the universe seemed to function, as letting Sai or Akaro listen to the recording could have immediately made its own existence an impossibility. I didn't want to believe it. It was a very scary thought in many ways. I had a dog and a cat to take care of. Being locked away for a month could have ended the worst way possible if the people outside neglected them and us at the same time. Meanwhile, the cabinet key appearing in Shiria's purse had a much straighter line of reasoning. I silently gestured at her so that she'd come to the hallway with me. Outside, I closed the door behind us while she looked slightly confused. Did you think of something? Sort of. I think we must have something backward. I think I know what happened with the key. It was put in your purse by whoever picked it up from Naomi's body. Yeah, it must have been the easiest target. Exactly, which is why, if the culprit behind Naomi's death had done it, they wouldn't have chosen you. They would have chosen a possible suspect or a spot within a room that a suspect could have gone to. The first time it disappeared, Sekimeiya was in a cabinet in a room where Naomi died. However, the cabinet in the event room hadn't been locked, so the key wasn't needed. Then we split up between both hallways and the Sekimeiya was taken. That's when the key was used. Later, when we returned from the higher floors after failing to find anyone, the Sekimeiya hadn't been stolen yet. It was still in the cabinet, and according to Sai, someone took the elevator down. I don't think the killer's intention was to take the Sekimeiya. If it had been, and they purposely detached the cabinet key from Naomi's set, they wouldn't have taken the Sekimeiya while we've been searching both hallways. They would have waited for us to leave, and they wouldn't have dropped the key in your purse. So, someone took advantage of Naomi's body after we found her? Yes, the culprit spent time removing it from her set of keys, but didn't take the attic key. All of us found Naomi's body at the same time, and even though I disappeared, you're positive nobody could have picked the key up before I returned, right? I am, and even more if they had to take it off the keyring. Then, when we left her body to put the Sekimeiya in the event room cabinet, it's very likely she still had all of her keys. The people could have picked it up from that point. The people that could have picked it up from that point on were your group and the person who made the sound, who couldn't have gone on to use it to unlock the cabinet. It's also likely they were the true culprit, as they hadn't picked it up after killing Naomi. It's what we said earlier, the suspects are pretty much only Sai and Akaro. I began moving toward the living room and Shiria followed me without asking anything. Akaro entered the room where Naomi had died, but he couldn't have unlocked the cabinet. Sai, though, had the chance to do both things. If the search ended while one of them still had the key, since you were in their group, they would have chosen to leave the key in your purse. Also, you investigated hallway B, so if Sai hadn't denied it, you could have had a chance to get the key too. And then Akaro started acting strangely, purposely remaining on the crystal floor all by himself. Yeah, none of this makes sense because we found the Sekimeiya in the storeroom. This part is what feels like we might have backward. How so? I'm not sure yet, because I doubt there could have been any normal method to make the Sekimeiya appear there. Maybe it has to do with its powers, but I think we should look through hallway B in case we can find hints of what actually happened. Without an objection, we continued heading down. I wasn't exactly sure what goal we had in mind, but I knew something strange must have happened with the hallway B group. When the Sekimeiya was hidden in room B4, where we first found Naomi, it was hidden inside a temperature regulation cabinet, and that must have happened at a time where we didn't know yet that the cabinets had inner compartments. Anyone could have secretly known this, but think about Kate's perspective. He was told by Suripo that gemstones had been stolen from a room, and he didn't know which one. So he had no reason to think that there had been gemstones displayed and not the ones kept. Oh, right. So he had no reason to think that they had been gemstones displayed and not the ones kept in those inner compartments, right? But the first time we searched, he never looked at them or let us know about them. He might have wanted to keep them a secret. It's possible. As soon as we reached floor 5, we faintly heard someone approaching. Oh, hey, are you coming for me? Sort of. The others are waiting for you in the attic, but we'll go right back up in a bit. What were you doing down there? Nothing, as I said. I stayed where I was for a few more minutes, sorting my thoughts out. Any reason why you chose a bathroom with a dead body to stay in? I don't think so. I'll be going. I'm sure Sai's eager to openly question me. He took off without waiting for a response. Maybe he's back to normal. He looked really off earlier. He did. I'm not sure how it was for him, but he must have experienced something very unnatural. We continued moving down as we wondered what had been up with Akaro. He only teleported according to him, and the Sekimeiya was the trigger. Do you believe him? I'm not sure. It probably was caused by the Sekimeiya in some way, but right before that point, it didn't have any effect on us. I thought earlier that maybe he had just traveled a few seconds to the past, which would have been unnoticeable. Oh, that's true, but he said he still appeared on the crystal floor, so I think he would have noticed it, and we should have seen him. Yeah, maybe the shock stopped him from thinking properly. I don't know. I also wonder why he didn't show himself if he was right there the whole time and saw us. And there's still the fact that if he really touched the Sekimeiya, we shouldn't have seen it behind the glass in the cabinet. Yeah, it's all really strange. I'm already doubting what I said regarding the Sekimeiya's disappearance. I said that if Naomi's killer had taken her key, they would have waited before taking the Sekimeiya. They wouldn't have done it while we'd all been searching on the crystal floor. That's slightly flawed though. If Sai or Akaro had taken the key, they would have waited too. Yeah, they would have kept the key until a better chance came, right? But instead the Sekimeiya was taken while the search was going on. Why? There has to be a reason why they didn't wait. After all, the fact that it happened during the search is very strange. It means that nobody who searched could have done it. How did they do it? Whoever hit the Sekimeiya took advantage of the search to appear clean. They didn't wait for a calmer time. It's so confusing. People in both hallways could have worked together when I wasn't looking, but is that really it? It doesn't make any sense. They rushed to hide the Sekimeiya in the storeroom, but they didn't rush to take it out of the cabinet the next time we left the crystal floor. In fact, it should still be there. God, I don't want to baselessly suspect everyone, but I don't know how else to approach this. It's okay, Aski. You're just trying to be careful. I wish I could be more help. We arrived at the crystal floor. If a hiding culprit wasn't nearby, we must have been the only people there. It was fainter, but as we walked down the last staircase, we could still perceive the smell from earlier. Perhaps because nothing about it made sense, we instinctively went to check the second Naomi body, the place where Akaro had remained. I don't think anything's different here. It looks the same. Someone must have locked her inside, and that was the sound we heard. If so, then the culprit should have still been somewhere while we searched. Well, when we heard the sound, we all went out of the event room toward hallway A. From there we could see the staircase and elevator, so we know nobody ran up a floor after that. If the person responsible expected that and quickly entered the event room from hallway B just behind us, even though we still don't know how it works, they might have been able to use the Sekimeiya to escape. We'd locked the cabinet, but it's still possible. It supposedly made Akaro travel later, so that could be right. It might just be inconsistent regarding when it actually does something. But then the culprit wouldn't have relied on it to escape. If they used it, they must have known how to trigger it properly. There's still the same problem though. The glass in the cabinet would have been left open. That's right. As the conversation had once again shifted to the Sekimeiya's mechanics, we walked to the center of the floor. We entered it through hallway B and found ourselves in the empty space, only shared by the covered cabinet. The dark scenery always reminded us that we'd been victims of an attack, and one that was most likely far from over. I walked up to the cabinet as I spoke. Do you still have the key? No, it must still be in the bed, assuming nobody picked it up. I didn't just want to put it back in my purse. So what might have been the only way to unlock the cabinet could have been in anyone's possession. I raised the curtain, hoping to finally get more information on what the Sekimeiya could really do. However, instead of helping us piece things together, it appeared the curtain was only covering more questions. Behind it, the glass only protected a cushion as the Sekimeiya had once again disappeared. It's not here? Didn't you see it just before we went up? I did, I even touched it. Then was Akaro just acting? He could have easily taken it out. Unless we assume an unknown culprit is somehow still here, it was him. He did tell us to leave him alone, but I have no idea why he'd want to hide it. This question still pisses me off. Why would anyone hide the Sekimeiya? There's nothing to gain from it because we can always find it by just searching thoroughly. There might be another reason. For example, what if instead of hiding it, what they're trying to do is remove it from the cabinet? Just removing it? Oh, because of the temperature? Maybe. The first time we found it inside a cabinet that could keep it cool, but it wasn't powered on. It might be related to that. They could just unplug this cabinet, which would be much harder to notice. By moving it, they also exposed themselves in front of the cameras. I looked behind just in case, and the cabinet's plug was still inserted into the outlet. The cameras make me think that the culprit doesn't mind being seen. It would make sense if it had always been Akaro, because by hiding the Sekimeiya now, he's leaving himself as the only suspect. But to accomplish everything, he must have made use of the Sekimeiya's powers multiple times and still did his best to always hide from us. Whoever the culprit is, why do they care so much about not being seen by us but aren't fazed by the cameras? Yeah, they must have caused a power outage in the security room, but all that did was stop us from looking at the recordings. The cameras are still working, so once everyone outside can get back in, they'll be able to look at everything. You're still assuming they'll get back in. It might just be that they're confident in their plan. If they intend to vanish as soon as Ashia entered this place, even if they figure out who they were, they'd still be gone and hard to catch. The fact that they're trying hard to avoid being seen by us might indicate that we know them. If they're making use of the Sekimeiya, understand how it works, and are cheating an alibi for themselves, we could just restrain them for the rest of the time if we figure out who they are. It's like they're hiding the Sekimeiya while also hiding themselves thanks to it. And at the same time, the fact that Akaro is the main suspect could mean that he isn't responsible. Every other action performed by the culprit has managed to keep their identity hidden, but this would directly point at it. Even though Kate has always looked like the most suspicious person, he could have accomplished almost everything through normal means. At no point was it necessary for him to use the Sekimeiya for anything, and it's very likely the culprit has been making use of it to stay out of sight and remain less suspicious. So the blame just falls on Kate? I doubt it's just that. He's still hiding a bunch of things for sure, regarding the Sekimeiya, the attic, and the way we got trapped. For now, since we're here, we could try to find the Sekimeiya. The others must be questioning Akaro and, well, where we are. There aren't many places to hide it, and if we find it, we could learn something important. If Akaro didn't do it, it means that someone else took advantage of him being distracted. It could have been a hiding culprit, but Sai and Kate were actually viable suspects too, as they claimed to have been in the living room, while we'd been occupied by an impossible recording. They would have had just enough time. Or would you prefer to go back to the attic? Sorry, I just dragged you all the way down here without asking you. Being alone could be dangerous, so we can go back if you want. No, I'd like to look for it. We were going to look through hallway B, so let's start with that. If we figure out how the Sekimeiya appeared in the storeroom, we might be able to find out who did it. I nodded. It was possible a culprit remained around, but they could have easily left already, and it wasn't our goal to begin a full search of the building. We intended to find the Sekimeiya, which was more likely to be on the crystal floor. Which room do we start with? It shouldn't matter. I think that's the first one Akaro looked through. We walked to room B3 in silence. It was undeniable that staying put somewhere was much safer than being there by ourselves. Someone had died and we were up against an elusive culprit. We'd even heard that bizarre recording just minutes ago, but we were trying to understand what had happened to the Sekimeiya. After all, it had made me travel through time. We hadn't spoken about it at length, but it was evident both of us wanted to understand how it worked. We opened the door and entered without high hopes. I started with the rightmost cabinets. Only a few of them could be opened up, but there was always space behind them and under them, making it a considerably lengthy process. Just as I thought that, Shirya spoke. Wait, it's here! I turned around abruptly. Shirya was looking inside the cabinet she'd started with. I approached her, thinking that perhaps I'd misheard. Do you mean the Sekimeiya? Yes, look, it's under the cushion, and there's a lot of space beneath it too. I thought I saw a slight bump, so I checked. I spotted it when I got closer. Shirya had removed the cushion with the gems, which had uncovered the space beneath it. There the Sekimeiya had been hidden. So, once again, out of all the places to choose from, they chose to hide it in a room with security cameras. We'd gotten used to our searches not ending as desired, so such a quick result threw me off. It must not have been here for very long. What do we do? Do you want to try to activate it? The last time it worked right after it had been hidden. It's obvious that the culprit is behind this, so by learning how it works we might be able to understand a few things. That's true, but won't it be dangerous? You saw how Akaro reacted. I felt fine the last time. I also touched it before going to the attic and nothing happened, so it's possible it won't be any different now. It might have been dangerous, but I wanted to know if going to the past was truly achievable. I felt overwhelmed by the simple looking object I had in front of me. I see. Try it then. If it works, I'll go back to the past again. If that happens, it means that I might already be outside the door, waiting for the past me to travel. Assuming that's the case, I'll come in as soon as I disappear to meet back up with you. Keep looking at the Sekimeiya in case it changes colors. Alright. Was another version of me right outside the room? If we went to look and that version acted surprised to be found, assuming the past couldn't be changed and only looked at from a different perspective, it would mean that I'd have to travel to the past and recreate a fake reaction. Such a thing was ridiculous though. If we went to check outside, that version of me would know that we'd done so and would hide accordingly. It was pointless to even try it, as we didn't know if the travel would work in the first place. I'll touch it. If nothing happens, let's bring it upstairs. Leaving it in the cabinet would just provide the culprit with another opportunity to hide it, assuming it wasn't Akuro's doing. Yeah, I'll wait here. I'm a little scared to touch it, but I think it's better if one of us stays here. I agree. I stretched my arm toward it, hesitant about what was about to happen. Shira kept slowly walking backward while I shortened the distance between my hand and the Sekimeiya. And we'll find out about what happens. Probably nothing, but we'll find out about it in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed watching. Thanks for doing so, and until next time, bye.